Kevin had always thought of himself as an ordinary man, even if his life no longer looked ordinary from the outside. He lived in a quiet, well-kept suburb outside Columbus, Ohio, in a house that was just a little too big for one person. The lawn was always trimmed, the neighbors polite but distant, and the rhythm of life predictable. But 15 years earlier, back in high school, Kevin had been the kind of student teachers praised and classmates overlooked. He spent most afternoons at home, hunched over textbooks or his computer, while other kids were out doing things he only saw in movies. "Hey Kev, you coming to Jake's party tonight?" one of the few classmates he occasionally spoke to had asked once, half-heartedly. Kevin had looked up from his notes, surprised. "I didn't know I was invited." There had been an awkward pause. "Oh. I mean, people are going." "I thought you were going too," the boy replied, already backing away. "No worries if not." Kevin nodded, forcing a small smile. "I wasn't invited. I've got studying to do anyway." He told himself that was the reason. It was easier that way. Years later, that same focus, the one that kept Kevin home on Friday nights, became the foundation of everything. He met his future co-founders in college, Marcus, Elena, and Josh. What college gave him wasn't just knowledge, it was a reset. No one knew who he used to be. He could just be Kevin. The four of them spent most of their time in the computer lab, working late into the night. Cheap coffee, half-working prototypes, and conversations that started as complaints but slowly turned into ideas. "This whole thing is inefficient," Elena said one night, scrolling through a workflow diagram on her screen. "Financial institutions are still running on fragmented systems. Sales, product, engineering, they're all disconnected. Everything moves through layers of approvals and manual handoffs." Kevin leaned closer. "It's not just the systems. It's how hard it is to change them." Marcus nodded. "Exactly. Every time someone wants to improve a process, it turns into a full rebuild." Kevin paused for a moment. "What if we didn't replace the systems? What if we built something that sits on top of them? Something flexible?" Marcus snapped his fingers. "A low-code platform. But not just drag and drop," Josh added. "Something that actually understands workflows. AI-assisted. It could suggest optimizations, automate decisions, reduce manual steps." Kevin nodded slowly. "And it shouldn't be limited to one industry. If we design it right, it could work across banking, insurance, any structured environment." There was a brief silence. The kind where everyone realizes the idea might actually be viable. Elena broke it with a small smile. "If we're serious about this, we need to do it properly. That means time, money, and getting the right AI infrastructure in place." And they did. They sketched out a business plan. Built early prototypes. Spent months learning how to actually use the tools they were talking about. Machine learning frameworks, workflow engines, integration layers. It wasn't as simple as the idea had sounded. One evening, after another long session, Josh leaned back in his chair. "I think we're ready to show this to people." They started small, pitching to a few contacts, then to early-stage investors and mid-sized firms willing to experiment. The first few clients came cautiously. Pilot programs. Limited deployments. But the results spoke for themselves. Their platform didn't replace existing systems, it connected them. It streamlined processes, reduced manual work, and helped teams collaborate without needing to rebuild everything from scratch. Sales, product, and engineering could finally operate in sync. What started with 5 clients grew to 10. Then 20. Then more than they could easily track. Kevin still remembered the day everything shifted. They were in a small conference room, looking at the latest numbers on Marcus's laptop. "This doesn't look right," Kevin said. Marcus didn't look up. "It is. We closed 3 enterprise deals this week," he added. Elena leaned forward. "That puts us at, what? Multimillion annual revenue." Marcus nodded. Josh let out a quiet laugh. "We're not a startup anymore." Kevin stared at the screen, trying to process it. "So, this is real?" Elena smiled. "Yeah, Kevin. It's real." For a moment, none of them said anything. Not because they were celebrating, but because they were realizing just how far they'd come. A few years later, Kevin had everything: money, cars, a comfortable home. And yet, every night, he returned to an empty house. I just want someone real, he had thought. Someone who actually cares. Online dating seemed like an answer. But the dates hadn't worked out. They only care about money, he muttered after one particularly disappointing evening. Then, one day, he met Patricia. She seemed different. You like traveling too? Kevin asked during one of their first conversations. I love it, Patricia replied. I want to see the world. They talked for hours, first on the app, then over calls on Microsoft Teams. Kevin was drawn in. Can you stand up? He asked one day, slightly nervous. I just want to see you. Of course, Patricia replied with a soft laugh. He watched as she stood. Slim. Elegant. Her skin appeared warm, caramel-toned under the light. To Kevin, she was captivating. I think I'm falling for you, he admitted weeks later. Davy lived in Kamwala, Lusaka. Although he tried to find a job, getting a steady job proved difficult. He tried to set up businesses, more times than he could count, but nothing ever worked out. Whenever he sold products to clients, they would not pay him for the goods and services he was offering. Even if they paid, their payments would come late, when he was already running into losses. He tried selling clothes, handbags, and makeup. Customers would get the things, but payments would trickle in and sometimes never come. Meanwhile, his house and shop rental bills would pile up. Eventually, like many people with few options and mounting pressure, he turned to crime. At first, it was small things. Just grab the phone and run, Patel told him. Quick money. No thinking needed. So Davy snatched phones in crowded streets, disappearing into alleys before anyone could react. It worked, for a while. But soon, his boss, Patel, demanded more. I need results, Davy, the man had said coldly. Others are bringing in more than you. Before long, Davy fell behind. Others outperformed him, and just like that, he lost his place. With few options left, Davy turned to the internet. He joined an international dating site, initially hoping to charm a woman into helping him leave the country. You're beautiful, he typed endlessly. I've never met anyone like you. I think about you all the time. He sent e-flowers, poems, and long, carefully crafted messages. But most women didn't fall for it. I don't trust this, one replied. This feels like a scam, another said when he asked her for money to inject into his business. He had offered her a joint business partnership and she outright refused to send him any money. The women were cautious, aware of online fraud, shaped by stories and warnings from Western media. Davy realized he needed something more sophisticated. One evening, while riding in a cab driven by his friend, the idea surfaced almost as a joke. What if, his friend said with a laugh, you pretended to be a woman instead? Davy smirked. You're joking. But the idea lingered. Within days, the joke turned into a plan. They found gender swap software that could make anyone appear as a beautiful woman. It was convincing. Before long, Davy created a new online identity as a beautiful, 28-year-old girl called Patricia. And it worked. Hi, he typed one night, now posing as Patricia. I saw your profile. You seem interesting. Lonely, older men responded. Over time, Davy grew skilled, learning how to speak, how to move, how to present himself convincingly on camera. Using deepfake tools, he held video calls that felt real enough to deceive. Money started coming in. Men from the UK and USA were sending Patricia money in dollars and pounds. Davy's maid was suspicious of what she was seeing on Davy's laptop, but she pretended she was not aware of what was going on. With time, awareness of such scams spread, and things became harder. Fewer men trusted strangers online. Fewer were willing to send money. Davy needed a better target. That was when he found Kevin. Software company director, loves travel, interested in Africa, Davy read aloud. Single. He smiled. Perfect. Behind the screen, Davy was calculating. The deepfake software was very expensive for Davy, but he was determined to see a return on his investment. I need him here in Zambia so that we can rob him and take his dollars, Davy told himself. He increased the frequency of their calls, dressing Patricia in stylish outfits, sometimes holding a drink, creating an image of charm and independence. I wish you were here, Kevin had said one night. I'm tired of being alone. Then come, Patricia replied softly. Come to Lusaka. I'll show you everything. At first, Kevin hesitated. I have work, he said. I can't just leave. So Davy changed tactics. During one video call with Kevin, the cab driver, Chomba, walked into the frame. Who's that? Kevin asked sharply. Oh, no one, Patricia had replied. Just a friend. A male friend. Kevin's voice tightened. Yes, we went to school together. Kevin went quiet. Later that night, he booked a flight. I'm not losing her, he muttered. Come visit me, Patricia said in their next call. We'll have fun. I'll show you Lusaka, the food, the nightlife, you'll love it. Kevin smiled. What he loved most was that she never asked for money. She's different, he thought. She's real. She even showed him her apartment over video calls, walking through rooms, laughing casually, appearing completely genuine. I'm independent, she told him. I don't need anything from anyone. That had sealed it. As Kevin packed his bags, full of hope, he had no idea of the truth. Patricia never existed. And waiting for him in Lusaka was not love, but a carefully constructed trap. Patricia said she had arranged everything. She had booked a hotel room for him at the Radisson Blu Hotel, where Kevin would stay. She arranged the taxi that would pick him up from the international airport. The only trouble was that Patricia was actually Davy. The cab driver was his friend, Chomba. Patricia advised Kevin to carry cash for his spending because transfers were expensive in Zambia. She had a safe where he could put his cash and passport. Kevin had fallen for Patricia. She had cute little dimples when she smiled. Her skin was caramel brown. He never thought he would fall in love like this, and he was looking forward to seeing her in person, giving her a hug and just sharing 3 wonderful weeks with her. They agreed to go on safari at Lilei Lodge, massages at Pure Touch Massage Spa after his long flight. The total flight time would be 20 to 25 hours. He was using Emirates and he would fly business class since he could afford it, but it would still be a long journey. He bought a couple of pretty dresses for Patricia after getting her dress size and a Hermes handbag. She had approved the items online when he had shown her pictures. When Kevin landed, the cab driver picked him up. Instead of taking him straight to Northmead, Kevin wouldn't know any better. They ended up in the outskirts of Kamwala. The cab driver pretended to have a puncture and got out to change the tire. Kevin, being the naive man he was, offered to help. When he stepped out of the car, the cab driver jumped back into the car, pretending to get more tools. But, suddenly, he drove off, leaving Kevin stranded in the outskirts of Kamwala. Kevin ran to nearby people asking for help. He didn't know anyone and his phone was in the backseat of the car. There was a lady selling tomatoes in the market nearby. She saw the whole thing and took him to the police station. The policewoman on duty was Sergeant Chuma. Sergeant Chuma was a no-nonsense police officer with a track record of catching criminals. She had wanted to be posted at the Northmead police station but had instead been posted to Kamwala police station. She found things at this station were a little slow. Hardly anything happened apart from petty crime. Thieves stealing tomatoes in the market, nearby houses being robbed. In fact, one set of thieves had broken into a house nearby. They had removed the BMW car keys off the top of the TV and stolen the TV, leaving behind a BMW. That is when Chuma thought that this area's thieves were not very sophisticated. If they were, they would have stolen the car instead of the TV. She thought her job would be a breeze. She was wrong. Because the next case that she got blew her mind. There was one crew she had heard about who were robbing unsuspecting tourists in Kabwata. They would lure the foreign gentlemen to Lusaka and drive them to isolated areas of Lusaka and abandon them there, driving away with their cash and mobile phones. She wanted in on this case as it seemed exciting and sophisticated. But she had never had the chance before until now. Kevin ran into the police station looking frantic. She tried to calm him down but he was in a state. Excuse me, excuse me. Yes, sir. How can I help you? I have been robbed. I was in a taxi, and the driver, he just drove off with all my things in the car, including my phone and passport. Calm down, sir. Would you like some water? No, thanks. I need to get to the U.S. Embassy, please. Sir, it's after 5. They are closed now. They close at 5. Isn't there any way I can get hold of them? Let me see, let me check what we can do. Please sit down, sir, and I will call you after I speak to someone. Sergeant Chuma, the police system for the U.S. Embassy out of hours service. She phoned them and handed the phone to Kevin. Kevin described everything that had happened over the phone to the emergency officer at the U.S. Embassy. Wednesday next week? Are you serious? I have no money, no phone, no passport. I was just robbed. How am I going to check into my hotel without ID? The U.S. Embassy does not provide shelter or food to tourists in his position. This was Heroes and Unity Day weekend. It was a long weekend and the U.S. Embassy would only reopen on Wednesday the following week. Patricia arranged for me to stay at the Radisson Blu in central Lusaka. Can you take me there, please? Sure. When they got to the hotel, there was no reservation for Kevin. But she said she would take care of the reservation, Kevin said to the lady at the hotel reception. I could get you a room. There are rooms available. I will just need your card details. I got robbed. I don't have my bank cards or my passport. Then I am sorry, sir. There is nothing I can do. I can't give you a room without a bank card. Do you have cash? I got robbed. I have no cash. Frustrated, Kevin walked back to the car with Chuma. Maybe we can try phoning Patricia. What's her number? I don't know her number. It's on my phone. I do know where she works though. At Commercial Bank. You can stay at mine tonight. Then we can go look for her tomorrow at the bank. I will find a hotel as soon as I get some cash from my mum through Western Union. How are you going to pick up the money? You have no ID, remember? An emergency passport will take 2 days to issue by the U.S. Embassy. It's a long weekend, so which means if they start the process on Wednesday, you will only get your passport on Thursday or Friday next week, Chuma said. Kevin was quiet for a minute. Oh, I didn't think of that, Kevin answered. Okay, I have an idea. Do you trust me? If we phone your mother, she can send cash to Western Union using my name. I can pick it up for you using my ID. Kevin was reluctant to trust anyone after his experience, but what choice did he have? Chuma could tell from his facial expression that he didn't trust her. I'm a police officer. I wouldn't steal your money. You will be right there with me when getting the cash. Okay, I guess I am totally going to have to trust you. Kevin used Chuma's phone to call his mother in the US and ask her for emergency money. She sent it via Western Union online. However, because Kevin didn't have an ID, Chuma was used as the receiver of the funds. I can't believe I got robbed on my first trip to Zambia. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I will do whatever I can to track down those criminals. When they got to her place, Kevin was still in shock. He had stepped out of the car to lighten the vehicle for the cab driver. He couldn't be in the car while the tire was being changed. He got out of the car to be helpful. He was standing there looking around him. He was distracted by the sights. He had never been to Zambia before. He was looking around. It was much better than the documentaries he had seen on TV. However, being distracted had cost him dearly. He had worn his shirt on the flight, so Chuma offered him a clean t-shirt he could wear. I don't think I could fit into your clothes, he said. This is my ex-boyfriend's t-shirt. You are about the same size. Ex-boyfriend? Won't he mind? How will he know I gave it to you? Just wear it. That evening, Kevin was able to contact his mother, who sent him some cash to buy another air ticket to return home. But he was angry, though of all the bullies who had bullied him at school. This situation was not okay. Kevin wanted his things back and he wanted his engagement ring back. It was meant for Patricia. At this point, he still thought Patricia was real and he was desperate to see her. He had brought it for Patricia as he had fallen in love with her. Meanwhile, at Davy's house, Chumba and Davy went through Kevin's things. There was thousands of dollars in cash, bank cards, a few of Kevin's clothes and a few dresses and handbags meant for Patricia. At the bottom of the suitcase, there it was, a navy velvet box. They opened it and saw the engagement ring. What? This guy is nuts. He was going to propose? How desperate is he? Imagine. Proposing after meeting her in person once. I have never seen that. How much do you think this ring is worth? I don't know. I don't trust Patel. He may give us a lower price. What choice do we have? Keep it? When it can make us rich. Some cash is better than nothing. Okay, we will take it to him tomorrow. Kevin woke up early the next morning. It was Saturday. As he was opening the kitchen windows, he noticed how unkempt the garden was. There were dry leaves everywhere. Apart from that, there were a few potted plants which looked dry and unloved. There were, however, some green fruits in a tree in the garden. He wondered what they were. He looked around the kitchen to see what he could find to make breakfast for Chuma. It was a way of showing gratitude for letting him stay at her place for free. He had no money, but he could at least make breakfast for her. He found eggs, milk, bacon, sausages and made breakfast. Chuma walked into the kitchen, but Kevin had not seen her. Just as Kevin was turning around, he bumped into her. In the cramped quiet of the kitchen, the accidental bump lingered longer than it should have. Chuma and Kevin paused, caught in that brief, suspended moment where familiarity shifted into something new. He was seeing her differently now. Her pink t-shirt softened her, made her feel more real, more approachable. Her hair, no longer pulled back tight, framed her face in a way he hadn't noticed before, and it caught him off guard. She looked beautiful, effortless. Chuma noticed it too, the change in him. The confusion from the night before had faded, replaced by an easy, almost boyish warmth. His blue eyes were clearer now, brighter, and when he smiled, it felt genuine. For a second, the narrow kitchen didn't feel so small. It felt like something just opened between them. Chuma held onto him to stop herself from falling. They smiled awkwardly at each other, but both had felt it. A jolt of electricity. They stepped away from each other and Kevin cleared his throat as he said, "I couldn't find any real coffee so I made coffee using the instant stuff. That is the coffee I prefer." "What do you mean by real coffee?" "You know, coffee pots. You put them in a coffee-making machine." "Really? I don't have a coffee-making machine." "Well, you can get real coffee powder and make coffee using that." Chuma stared at him with a blank expression. "Coffee beans, you grind them, boil the powder in water. Why go through all that trouble? Why not use instant coffee?" "Sorry, I get carried away. I need a proper coffee every morning." "You didn't have to make breakfast, you know," Chuma said, looking at the table. "It's the least I could do. You saved me. I had nowhere to go and you offered your place." "Making breakfast is the least I can do to say thank you," Kevin replied. "Don't worry about it," Chuma said. Kevin smiled. That looks delicious. I normally just have toast for breakfast." "This is a nice change," Chuma said. "I don't eat like this every day." "I have toast and coffee most mornings," Kevin said. They ate in silence. "I noticed a fruit tree in the garden." "What are those fruit?" "Guavas." "Guavas? Never heard of them." "What? You've never heard of guavas?" Chuma smiled. "Would you like to try one?" Chuma went into the garden, picked a few guavas which were hanging low in the tree. After washing them, she cut them in half and offered one to Kevin. "This is tasty. But it's full of seeds." "Yes, it's meant to be full of seeds," Chuma laughed. "You are supposed to chew the flesh and seeds and just swallow everything," she said. Kevin only had a few bites. He wasn't used to having fruits with seeds. "We don't get many fruit with seeds in the US. That's because they are genetically modified." "Yeah, unfortunately. But this is really good." Kevin remembered that they had a long day ahead of them. "I was thinking, could we go to Western Union? See if the money my mum sent has arrived." "Yes, we can do that. I know a branch that opens in town in an hour." Chuma's water heater was not working, so she heated up some water in a bucket with a water heating element and poured into the bathtub. Kevin felt touched that she was going through so much trouble. He vowed to himself he would fix her water heater. After Kevin's refreshing bath, they went to Western Union and collected the cash that Kevin's mother had sent. "What a weekend you chose to visit. Heroes and Unity Day. The U.S. Embassy will be closed on both Monday and Tuesday. It's a long weekend." I had no idea. Don't worry. You can stay at mine until Wednesday. Then hopefully you should be able to fill out the paperwork. Your passport should be ready by Friday, Chuma said. When she collected the cash from Western Union, she gave it to Kevin. See. Not all Zambians are thieves. Kevin managed to buy a mobile phone from a phone shop and a SIM card. He was able to download his emails and Patricia's contact information and photo. Kevin kept telling Chuma about Patricia. How pretty she was and intelligent. How slim and how bad he feels that the clothes he bought for her wouldn't reach her because he was robbed. Chuma couldn't help feeling a pang of jealousy whenever he showed her Patricia's picture from his phone. Those eyes. That smile. Chuma looked at the phone screen and could see Patricia was clearly beautiful. She is really pretty. I'm sorry, I am being rude. No, it's okay. You are in love. It's perfectly normal. You should listen to her talk about world subjects. She is so knowledgeable. Wow, sounds like a dream. Except she is real. I was going to ask her to marry me and take her with me to the US. What? You were going to propose to someone you've never met. We have been talking for a few months. I feel this connection with her. Do you know how rare that is? Still. You've never met her. Chuma was beginning to wonder if this perfect girl was real. She had heard of catfishing cases before, but had not personally handled such a case. Kevin didn't know it, but every time Davy was online with him, whatever topic Kevin wanted to talk about, be it food from different parts of the world such as Asian food or South American food, be it the history of Africa such as historic African migration or the Boer Wars. Whatever they talked about, Davy was relying on artificial intelligence software, such as ChatGPT or Grok, to quickly find answers. Then, he used the AI responses to Kevin's questions. They would talk about travel destinations such as the Maldives, the Caribbean. Davy would use artificial intelligence on another device to get information online and have a conversation with Kevin about all these topics. He would pose as Patricia and make Kevin believe Patricia knew all these things. Kevin loved well-traveled, intelligent women, so of course, he fell in love with what he was being presented, without his knowledge that Patricia was actually Davy. Davy had never left Zambia and didn't even know anything about foreign foods. He had never been interested in history and had merely managed to pass in history in secondary school. Kevin tried to phone Patricia but her phone was disconnected. I don't understand. Kevin said. I can't get through to her number. Chuma's police instincts had not kicked in until now. She thought it was strange that Patricia had organized the hotel, yet there was no room booked. The fact that the hotel room had not been booked was highly suspicious. She wondered if Patricia had anything to do with the robbery. Did you tell Patricia to meet you at the airport? She said she was busy so, she arranged the taxi ride for me. What? I thought you picked up the taxi at the airport. Why didn't you say something before? I didn't think it was relevant. Kevin, I hate to ask you this but do you think Patricia had anything to do with your robbery? No, she wouldn't do that. She is lovely and fun and independent. She's got a good job of her own. I don't know how well you know her but anything is possible. Where does she work? She said she works at Commercial Bank as a manager. So, why don't we go to the bank and find out? I know a branch that opens on Saturday. Let me call my partner, Sergeant Andrew. We don't have much time. They close soon. After they dropped off Kevin at her place, Sergeant Chuma and Sergeant Andrew drove to Zambia National Commercial Bank Cairo Road branch. They asked for Patricia. Chuma introduced herself as Sergeant Chuma and they were able to help her. Kevin showed the branch manager her picture but he didn't know her. Does she work at the other branches? No, I'm not sure. You will have to go and find out. But that lady doesn't work here. The other branches were nearby so they just walked over and asked the same questions. Nobody recognized Patricia when Chuma showed them the picture. Chuma's suspicions deepened further. A girl who claims to work for the bank, but no one knows her. She invites him to the country, arranges his accommodation and transport and he ends up robbed and stranded. This sounded like organized crime. She had heard of cases like this before but had not realized there could be a connection. When they were done interviewing the bank manager, Chuma went home to speak to Kevin. Kevin, the bank managers do not know Patricia. I'm sorry, but it sounds like you have been a victim of a scam. It sounds like you have been catfished.
What?
Are you saying Patricia is not really who she says she is? I'm saying Patricia may not even exist. I have heard of a sophisticated scam happening around Lusaka, but I didn't see the connection before. Now that we have checked Patricia's alleged workplace and no one recognizes her from your picture, it sounds like someone impersonated her to get you to come into the country to rob you.
What?
She's not real? I'm sorry, it appears that way. Kevin was so disappointed. He could not bring himself to believe that the woman he had been chatting with online for the past few months was not real. It was just too painful to imagine.